I recently wrote a blog post about a working hypothesis, an article written by some people suggesting that Nuragic boxers used kicks and chased chariots on battlefields, completely unprovable claims. After posting the video, someone left a comment that really made me laugh, not because I enjoy mocking others' opinions, but because the paradox was truly fascinating. They wrote, "Very interesting, especially coming from someone who actually knows what they're talking about." Once I spoke with a so-called scholar about how Nuragic archers supposedly used their bows as shields. According to him, archers would use their bows as shields against swords after running out of arrows. As an archer and bowmaker, I first felt a shiver of horror, then had to stifle my laughter. Very interesting, except the person who wrote that hypothesis is me, so it makes me laugh. It's also a social experiment to see how someone, not knowing who they're talking to, creates these awkward moments. It's actually quite amusing. It also shows that without knowing who they're facing, people evaluate things objectively. I completely understand what this gentleman who's apparently a bowmaker wrote. I've built some bows myself. I'm not an expert, don't consider myself one, but I've seen it done and know how to do it. Let's start with the basic concept. Why did I come up with this idea? This idea of Nuragic archers fighting in this particular way came from my experience with eskrima and martial arts. I applied the concept of using two sticks after seeing these arm protections on Nuragic archers and wondered, how is it possible they have a sword in the quiver group? Because they definitely have it, there's no doubt about that. It's not a propulsion device as some have claimed. So I wondered, what sense does it make to keep it on the left arm when swords are used with the right hand? You knock and shoot with the right hand, so why would they need protection on the arm holding the bow? It made no sense to me. And that's where the whole hypothesis about the arm guard's function when releasing the bowstring comes into play. It's a pointless idea because the arm guard of Nuragic archers primarily protects the elbow. It frequently protects the elbow. So this theory doesn't make any sense. As I was saying, it's absurd to think these warriors would throw down their bow, grab a sword and switch from their right hand, which was their dominant hand that most of them used, to their left hand, which had the protection. Basically, they'd be changing their entire stance, suddenly becoming left-handed or somehow ambidextrous. It's completely implausible to think that everyone fought this way. Anyway, the issue is very straightforward. Bow makers and archers in general are extremely careful with how they handle their bows, because a bow is almost like their child. For an archer, the bow is like a son, especially in modern times. But we're not talking about modern times. We're talking about antiquity, a period when making a bow was much simpler than today. Materials were more accessible, easier to find, and many more people made them. Especially if you went into battle, if you were using the bow for war, not hunting for food, that could actually be your last day alive, okay? Meaning you'd go out with your nice little bow thinking today might be the day you don't return home. This is something not many people fully grasp. And by the way, it's similar to this idea people have about using swords. Now let's take a sword, any sword. There's this hypothesis that some claim swords were used to parry with the flat side, so incoming blows were blocked with the flat part of the blade. A YouTuber made an amazing, hilarious video about this, which I recommend everyone watch. It was basically comedy because he said, I don't want my blade ruined, I don't want to damage the blade, I spent so much time sharpening it, look how perfect it is. Now it'll get notched, then I'll have to fix it. That's nonsense, guys, it's ridiculous. Why think that an object used in war that will probably save your life shouldn't get damaged? So let's see. A strike is coming, so I'll block it flat. I have to do this, I have to do this. No, do you see a strike coming at you? You put your sword in the middle, guys. Don't overthink it. Block with the flat, block here, block there. It's an object made for combat to save your life. There's no complex reasoning here. The same applies to the bow, if that seems absurd to you. The bow is a weapon you bring to battle, and if things go badly, you can use it to block a sword strike to your head. Or would you rather block the sword with your head and save the bow? So this idea that archers use bows as protection was a last resort, not something they did by choice. For example, I'm dueling someone and using my bow as a shield. The bow is just additional protection. In reality, they thought they were protecting their arm with the gauntlet. So, in case a shot came beyond the bow, they were still protected by the glove. Then, beyond the elbow, you can imagine that if an opponent's shoulder gets between my arm and face, they'd rather strike my face. That's probably why you sometimes see protective gear extending up here with wrappings and such. Most of the time, the protection only goes up to the elbow. If everyone had thought that bows were used to parry blows, I certainly wouldn't have been the first to come up with this somewhat crazy idea. I admit it's unusual, but everyone has their own ideas and hypotheses. Respect for others' views should never devolve into "that made me laugh" or dismissive comments, unless it's truly something absurd. Let me use this gentleman as an example. He probably sees it from his perspective as a bow maker, someone who treats bows with care like all archers do. He doesn't want to break it, and to him it seems impossible that anyone would deliberately use a bow to block strikes. Personally, if I were in a fight where I knew that not parrying a blow meant death, to hell with the bow. Why would I care? It's just an object, like the sword I mentioned earlier. If it gets damaged, so what? I'd live another day and move on. Anyway, that's all. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have more questions, ask away, share, basically do whatever you want. We'll see you again on this channel for new videos about Nuragic civilization, experimental archaeology, and combat.